Boom. Okay, cool. I think we're back now. Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about longevity and some really radically exciting new updates for people who are stimulating their vagus nerve. Some of the things that we've been learning lately are proving that vagus nerve stimulation can reduce your actual biological age from a genetic standpoint. And I have some exciting pre-announcements for clients. So you know how yesterday I talked about the PACE test and how normally it costs $229. I realized that as we do have a doctor on staff, we can get you wholesale prices off of that test. Now I don't know what the exact wholesale price is, but I suspect we can get that absolutely below $200, something maybe in like the $160 range for that really important genetic test that does epigenetic testing. So stick around, clients. You guys are going to get rewarded big time. That's not only 35% off of full script, that's also wholesale prices off of genetic testing services, which could be huge. I mean, when I get wholesale, that gets me 50% off. So I just have to double check on that, but I'm really excited to be able to do that. But let's do this. So as usual, we like to also do our Valsalva Squeeze. So we're going to do a quick Valsalva Squeeze, which is a simultaneous squeeze. We're going to all take a deep breath in and then take a sip of air at the top like that. And then you're going to hold it in and you're going to squeeze it with your core, your diaphragm, and your chest while retaining the air. And it's going to pump your vagus nerve to produce a lot of acetylcholine. You're going to get kind of a nice vibrational feeling in your body, like you're getting high, and it's going to put you into a really good mode of learning. Most people think that they learn the best in the morning. Turns out that about 8 p.m. is the best time to start learning new information. So this is peak learning time for you. You're going to come away from this video learning a lot. So ready? In 3, 2, 1, let's take our deep breath in. Ready? Sip of air at the top. Hold it and squeeze. And slowly exhale. And you should feel a lot calmer from that exhale. Good. So that's what we call a Valsalva squeeze. Now you know. Now you don't have to do something crazy to stimulate your vagus nerve. You can do it simply by a really quick breathing session. How cool is that? So let's jump into it, you guys. So today, our main intro subject here, what we're going to be talking about is reversing your biological age using vagus nerve stimulation. And this is reversing your biological age not with just topical facial creams, okay? We're not talking about, putting a weird, sea liver extract enzyme on your face to look younger, although there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a difference between creaming your face versus reducing your biological genetic telomere age epigenetically, okay? You can do both, but you should be doing the core root deep stuff. That should be your priority. And we found that vagus nerve stimulation, because of its ability to decrease inflammation in the body, is substantially implicated in that reversal of age. If you could eliminate inflammation, so here's what I found. There's a conference I was at back last year, hosted by Dr. Kevin Tracy, who's like the pioneer of vagus nerve stimulation. And he showed a chart that showed that essentially the biggest reason why most humans aren't making it past 100 or 120 is because of inflammatory conditions. Inflammatory conditions are responsible for heart disease, for diabetes, for Alzheimer's, for liver failure. These are inflammatory conditions. And if we could fix that's what is responsible for about 50% of chronic illnesses and death. 50% of all death is caused by inflammation manifested in parts of your body, organ failure. So if we could fix that, and obviously the implication here is that stimulating your vagus nerve being so good at regulating inflammation. It really is. We'll talk about that more. But you could see people on average starting to live to 180 years old and still have their health with them, right? So some things have to radically change in terms of how we're approaching this. It's not about just Botox. It's not just creams. It's, how do we reverse biological effects of aging through VNS? So yeah, aging is obviously a natural cycle. It happens to everybody, but it doesn't have to be like a death sentence for you, okay? So let's talk about the inflammatory cycle and what accelerates aging. So one key aspect of aging is the presence of chronic inflammation in the body. Obviously, when you get chronically ill, it does feel. Raise your hand if you've ever gotten an illness and it feels like you rapidly aged forward by 10, 20, or 30 years. It's very well known. One of the people who actually works for Dr. Kevin Tracy, really famous, Kelly Owens, she was 20. She had Crohn's disease and rheumatoid arthritis at the same time. So her inflammatory levels were just insane, right? And she did all the stuff. She did all the, she did keto, she did carnivore, she did grass-fed, she did anti-inflammatory diet, she did meditation, she did Reiki, she did yoga, she did acupuncture, she did cold water, she did Wim Hof, she did humming, she did gargling, she did whatever thing that you could do in her 20s to try and mitigate the effects. She did DNRS, she did Gupta, she did neural retraining, she did limbic retraining. So, this is why when I see people typing in my Facebook group, oh, I mean, God, girl, it's just like latent trauma, right? And if you just like resolve your trauma because that's stored in your gallbladder, then girl, your Crohn's disease that is killing you is going to go bye-bye. Trust me. I totally read it in a book. I saw it in a blog post. I'm like, I don't want to use bad words, but I'm like, somebody be tripping, okay? That's not what's happening. So she signed up for a clinical trial to have a vagus nerve stimulator implanted in her neck. Guess what? She felt like she was 80 years old before she had this implant. She felt like she was 20 years old again after 2 weeks of having the VNS implant on. She was running up and down stairs. This trial had to take place in Amsterdam. That's how behind we think of the United States as like, we pay so much for our healthcare so that we can have the best treatments. The only place where they could do the VNS trial for Crohn's disease and rheumatoid arthritis was all the way over in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. So that should give you a sense of how absolutely behind the times the United States is when it comes to really pretty substantial levels of medicine. And still to this day, that's still not a widespread point of discussion for people with Crohn's disease or people with rheumatoid arthritis. If there was a trial that showed that this girl had also tried every biologic. She had exhausted 17 small molecule biologic infusions, Humira, Remicade, everything that you can do. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars of medications. And people want to come to me and say, girl, you just need to start humming or like tickling the back of your throat so you can gag. And that's going to fix you. I'm like, bull, you know what? So the inflammatory cycle will accelerate your aging. This girl was literally a 20-year-old chronologically, but biologically, she was in the body of an 80-plus-year-old woman. Not fun. She was hobbling around. She was in the hospital all the time. So there can be a big mismatch between how old you are and how old you feel. That's really important. So when inflammation becomes chronic and uncontrolled, it can lead to accelerated aging and various age-related diseases. These all ping back and forth to each other. So unchecked inflammation actually causes a continuous cycle within the body. As we age, our bodies tend to accumulate more damage, which then triggers more inflammation. And this inflammation in turn further damages cells and tissues, leading to a higher risk of diseases such as cardiovascular disease, which is one of the number one killers of human beings today. Your heart failing from elevated levels of inflammation, scraping against the walls of your heart, deteriorating the quality of the muscles in your heart, will cause your heart to fail. One of the biggest ones, Alzheimer's and arthritis. Some of the most debilitating things that affect people past the age of 60 are going to be inflammatory related. So what if there was some kind of a solution that you could implement that would actually help with this? Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, it turns out that there is, and it would be considered vagus nerve stimulation. So vagus nerve stimulation may act as a potential solution for the nature of these bigger issues. So the vagus nerve, as most of you should know by now, is one of the longest nerves in our body. It connects the brain to several organs, including the heart, the lungs, the digestive system. It plays a crucial role in regulating many bodily functions, including, but not limited to, inflammation in your spleen. So clients know what I'm talking about. Recent studies have shown that by stimulating specific branches of the vagus nerve, organ-specific branches, like in the spleen, it is possible to significantly reduce inflammatory markers at a rapid pace. I mean, we're talking about days or weeks to reduce inflammation. This exciting discovery opens up new possibilities for reversing biological age and promoting overall health. I just want to check my audio. Does my audio sound okay, guys? Nobody's telling me anything. I did mute my... Does my audio sound okay, guys? Okay. My audio does sound good. Okay, cool. I just had to do a check. I'm not seeing a lot of activity and you guys are enthralled. You're like, whoa, this is amazing. And it is amazing. And your life may depend on this information at some point in time. Should you get COVID? Should you get sick? This kind of stuff is going to be, it's going to be helpful. Let's just say that. Great stuff. Cool. Good. All right. I always love good feedback, you guys. So don't hesitate to. Also, if you guys want to tell me in the chat, this sucks ass. I already know all this stuff. Why are you even wasting your time? Please tell me that. If this is really that bad, then let me know. I suspect it's not. Polly has a question. Polly, that's a great question. Please guide us on how to purchase VNS. I will once I'm done with the I usually have a kind of an agenda plan, something written out for these calls. So I want to kind of set the stage for that first. So anyway, measuring inflammatory markers. So before embarking on a vagus nerve stimulation journey, so before you purchase a VNS device, it is essential, in my belief, it can be essential. Now it can add a little bit of cost, and you might already know this, but should you be under the care of a doctor for an inflammatory condition, most likely you already have these tests on hand. They've probably already run this test. The two tests that are good, that are not this, they're not the gold standard to measure all things that we're talking about. We talked about this yesterday, a really good test for genetic age. But two that I'll recommend here is a C-reactive protein test. That's called CRP. You generally want that to be below 1. If you have really high inflammation, that might be like 30, 100, 500, and it should be like max 15. There's certain types of there's two types of CRP. Some are very sensitive, some are less sensitive. It depends on the level of inflammation. Your doctor will be able to order that, and that's a cheap test to get. Generally speaking, you'll know you have really high inflammation if you're sweating profusely, if you're waking up in a hot heat, if you're running a high temperature all the time, if you feel like you're losing weight. That is like the indication of a severe inflammatory situation. That can be one version of inflammation. Now, if you're like, well, I'm not waking up in a hot heat, so then does that mean I don't have any inflammation? The answer is, of course not. Inflammation can manifest itself even in your joints, and that's difficult to measure in your blood. But there are certain tests. Again, guys, it's a lot easier for your doctor to take a blood sample and to test your blood-borne inflammation than to cut into your joints in your arms to take a sample and measure inflammation that's stuck inside of a joint or in a specific part of your body. Like if you had liver inflammation or pancreatic inflammation, type 2 diabetes, they would have to take a biopsy of your pancreas. That's a pretty involved thing. But oftentimes you can find inflammation in different parts of your tissue that you can't always find in your blood. So just know that if I'm saying, just because I mentioned the symptoms of one type of inflammation and you're like, well, I don't have that, then that must mean I don't have any inflammation at all. Then I would just recommend don't be such a black and white thinker. Be a little bit more creative. Think a little bit more, like bigger picture here. These are some ways to get at it. Now, if you're like, I feel great, I feel fine, I'm 20 years old and I feel 20, then you're fine. You could probably go watch some TikTok videos or something like that. I don't really care. I'm really trying to talk to people who are like, I have a severe health issue right now and I need help, right? So if this resonates with you, then it's for a point. So that's CRP, and then the other one is called a sedimentation rate, wintergreen. So sed rate, wintergreen, is another type of a blood test that can also measure different levels of inflammation. It measures different types of how much your blood is falling out of solution in serum, and it also gives you a sense of like adhesion of blood. It's another great test to do. So sedimentation rate, wintergreen, and CRP. I'll put that here in the chat. So you can take a screenshot of those, ask your doctor for those, okay? Those are two commonly measured markers that provide insights into your body's inflammatory status. Now, if you're like, well, I got those tests and they were low, but my joints are achy and I have type 2 diabetes and I'm developing Alzheimer's, I'd be like, well, you still have an inflammatory situation right now. A low CRP level does not necessarily guarantee the complete clearance of inflammation. For instance, if you had something like Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, you can initially have high CRP levels, and if you treat it, your blood levels of inflammation will be low, but in the tissues itself, in your colon and your small intestine, you'll actually have pretty severely high levels of inflammation deep into the tissue. So inflammation can hide out in different parts of your body. Also, another thing to consider is COVID. COVID can ingratiate itself into your neurons, right? Think of like herpes simplex, shingles, right? Shingles can infect down into the neuron roots in your feet and your legs, and it's non-testable unless you cut out a part of your nerves in your feet until it reemerges at some point in time, usually in your later years, right? So inflammation and dangerous infections can oftentimes like penetrate deeper and deeper into the body where we can't necessarily test for them. And we just cross our fingers and hope that they don't emerge and cause you a lot of discomfort. So further steps should be and always must be taken to optimize your health. And given that inflammation is basically it's going to happen, this kind of stuff is still important. As you get closer to 50 and 60, inflammation is going to happen, all right? So while we're also considering vagus nerve stimulation to reduce inflammation, we can also be comforted that vagus nerve stimulation also provides other benefits that are crucial for your well-being. So by stimulating the vagus nerve, you can even potentially boost stem cell production in your body. You can promote neurogenesis, which means the growth of new brain cells up here. You can improve your brain age. People oftentimes that are doing vagus nerve stimulation find that their neural thinking capability is enhanced substantially, that they are now able to remember more, to learn faster, and remember what they learn. They have more brain energy processing power. There are a lot of corollary benefits to vagus nerve stimulation that aren't just to reduce inflammation. So this should and could be a project that will keep you around longer and keep your health up for a lot longer time. Now, you might be like, you know what, Sterling, I'm good taking my magnesium supplement before bed. I think that's all I really need. And, again, I kind of feel sorry if that's your opinion, given how many people are here in this Facebook group who are actual real people benefiting from VNS in their life. Now, you can go an entire life never doing any of this stuff and live a relatively okay life, but you don't know what you're missing out on until you try it. So VNS could be incredible for you. Also, vagus nerve stimulation enhances sleep quality almost across the board. Literally, I just had a call. I had a 3-month call with a client who's in our phase 1 program. I'll put the link in the chat so you can read more about it. But our phase 1 program, she is sleeping better than ever. And she's actually relatively young. She's only in her 40s. And she's benefiting from VNS. So it's been across the board really, really helpful. And I won't even go into, the fact that she's stimulating cardiac branches in her heart, and it literally makes her feel so good and calm. Some of the clients that are in the program know that we have a sternum-based protocol for vagus nerve stimulation. And that's because we use a specific type of technology that is non-electrical. You cannot get electricity into these really cool parts of your body. So if you're thinking like, if you're in the process of evaluating between electrical stimulators, you actually may be missing out. You may be burning money, given what is possible with VNS if you do join a program. A program is going to be a way better option for most people. There's oftentimes going to be way more benefits. My clients are a lot happier with what they do than people who just buy electrical devices. And lastly, another benefit, not one of the only ones, but another one that's worth mentioning, is that VNS can facilitate faster muscle gain. So as you get older, you risk sarcopenia, which is the decay of muscle mass, which makes you more frail, makes you weaker, more prone to injury, more prone to tripping and falling and hurting yourself, right? Things that we talk about all the time. We literally did a video just a few days ago about the importance of maintaining good balance and good neck strength and doing muscle growth. But if you do muscle building and your vagus nerve is not healthy, you actually may not be able to put on the muscle mass that you should be if you're doing those exercises. You may be, again, it's kind of the concept of, are you leaving money on the table by doing good things? Like, you might be doing all the good stuff. You might be like, I exercise, I walk, I meditate, I do affirmations, I take all the best supplements. If you do all those things, but your vagus nerve isn't being activated to the full degree that it could be, you are getting like 30% out of all of those things. You just add VNS, it enhances every single one of those things. It's like such a no-brainer to add. So it is these interconnected factors that highlight the importance of maintaining a healthy vagus nerve primarily, because it affects multiple aspects of our health and our vitality. That's literally the sole reason why I'm on here every single day, talking to people about this all the time, because it really is pretty much a transformative intervention. So in conclusion, as we've spoken, so reversing your biological age through vagus nerve stimulation is possible, and it holds immense potential in combating chronic inflammation, and it is associated with reducing the effects of aging. By actively monitoring and managing inflammatory markers, individuals can take proactive steps towards optimizing their health and potentially unlocking a more vibrant, youthful version of themselves. Now remember, your biological age is not set in stone. So with the right approach and understanding of the body's intricate systems, you can strive towards healthier and happier lives, regardless of your specific chronological age. If you're 20, you could feel 80. If you're 80, you could feel like you're 50 or 30 or 20. Maybe. It's unlikely, but anything's possible. I believe if you were 60 years old, I absolutely believe you could feel like you're in your mid-20s if you do the right stuff. We see that a lot with clients, is that they do report, wow, I also feel like I went backwards 10, 20, 30 years in age. So cool. Well, fantastic. Well, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, then please feel free to ask them here in the chat. Just for fun, I want to go on the YouTube, or no, sorry, on Twitter, and see if my video did go live. It's my first time trying this, and I have no idea if this is working. Does this work?
YouTube or no?
Yay! Okay, cool. So yay, my video does in fact work on Twitter. So if you guys want to go follow me on the Twitter, then I would highly recommend that you do that, because Twitter is cool. There's my link right there. So follow me on the Twitters, and yeah, you should be able to see me, follow me, get notifications, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, follow me over on X. But yeah, so as I said before, as well, what I do want to mention is that yesterday we talked about the true diagnostic. So for clients who looked at it, don't order it yet. So Shar, TK, Lori, don't order it yet. If you have ordered it, great, but don't order it just yet. We are going to set up a practitioner account from True Diagnostic, and we will have the ability to order wholesale direct to you. So just hold off on ordering till we have that finalized. But that should provide a pretty substantial discount, in my opinion. And then what else? Oh yeah. So Polly, who knows if you're still here? I don't see you really have you have a picture of a dog and a girl in your pic. I don't think that's you. I don't think any of those are you. We generally like to speak with people who are like somewhat real, not bots or anything like that. Okay, you seem like a real person. Yeah, Polly. So here, I'm gonna send you a quick message on Facebook. Let's see. Oh, hey, Polly. Didn't see your reply. Okay. So yeah, what I'm gonna send to you is a call scheduler link. A quick chat to discuss more. Go.once. 1 second. Yeah, and keep any questions coming, you guys. If you have any specific questions about this, I'm happy to take them. I know I'm really good at answering all the questions that you guys might have. So yeah. What else? Cool. Yay. All right, cool. Well, looks like I'm all caught up on stuff. That's exciting. Oh, you're here. You're not a bot. Okay, good. Yeah, thank you so much. Information on practitioner as your nurse practitioner. Great. Yeah, practitioner accounts are awesome. So when I say practitioner accounts, that means for our clients, not that we provide practitioner accounts to people in our program. So I'm the head of the Vagus Nerve Stimulation and Repair program. I'm the CEO of a coaching consortium of practitioners and doctors, and we take on clients, paying clients that use our VNS technology, which is ultrasound based. We ship them an ultrasound device, and then they join our program, and we, basically works like a sort of a medical treatment program, essentially. And we check in with them frequently, just like you would check in with a doctor. And as part of a bonus of that, we actually give all of our clients access to exclusive deals and accounts. So that means that you've probably heard of FullScript before. So fullscript.com is usually how a doctor or a practitioner will allow their patients to purchase supplements, probiotics, vitamins, minerals, whatever they need, right? Because FullScript has a huge amount of stuff. Now, most doctors will provide their clients with maybe like a 5% discount or a 10% discount on FullScript. What I've done instead is I said, I don't want to make any money from our clients purchasing necessary medical supplementation. So what instead I did is I took the slider inside of FullScript and I shifted it all the way to 35% off. Whereas there are really no doctors who do this. It's very rare for a doctor to do this because how they make their money is on the back end of making money off of, overselling you supplements. And that's been my experience with my own doctors is like every time I talk to them, they're like, yeah, you need to buy this $300 package of supplements. And I'm like, why? And they're like, just cause. I'm like, every month I have to buy $300 worth of supplements every month. Haven't even taken the first ones you gave me. And so I started wondering, why is that? Oh, it's because they're making like 20 to 25% commission off of all these supplements. So they're making like a good $75 additional on top of what I'm already paying them, which really sucks ass. So I said, all right, we're not going to do that. So yeah, that's when I say a practitioner account, that's what I mean. It's not like we don't give discounts to a person who's a nurse or anything like that. If you're a nurse or you're a normal person or whatever, if you're in our programs, you get substantial perks for that. So that's what I mean by that. And then same as well with what I posted above, which is the true age diagnostic, which I think our call yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, was literally about, so as we're talking about aging and reversing aging, there's a specific type of test that you can run that tests how fast your cells are aging. So for every 1 year that passes, your cells either age at that same rate, 1 year of age, faster or slower than that. So you could potentially, if you did the right stuff like VNS and eating and exercise and meditation and all this kind of stuff, if you did that properly, you could get your pace age rating down to 0.6. So that means for 1 year of time that's passed, your cells only have aged like, maybe 6.5 months. So 12 versus 6. That's a huge slowdown in aging. And then you can also see your epigenetic age, which is your telomere length. And so that test that I listed there, that PACE test, they offer a practitioner account for me to sign up for so that our clients can then get automatically sent the test at a far cheaper rate than retail. That's what that means. And I suspect it's going to be a pretty substantial discount because it says wholesale price, which is going to be a really, really incredible deal for a really good test. That can show you from from your first week of doing vagus nerve stimulation with ultrasound to your 6th week. You'll see a difference in that test. So yeah, awesome. Yeah, Shar, happy, feel like I'm 29. Grateful VNS rocks. You rock too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Woohoo. Well, speaking of the night being young, there's actually a concert in the park right here in my little town that's got some cool rock bands. So I'm gonna go take the mom, and we're gonna head down there and listen to some music, some live music, which is cool. Trying to enjoy the last days of summer here as it's already September, and it's getting cold again, you guys. What the heck? I'm going to miss the summer, especially up here in Seattle. Dang, it gets cold, and it gets rainy all the time too. But whatever. I had a good summer. Cool. So thanks everybody so much. We're going to start wrapping up the videos on the YouTube. Thanks, YouTube.